What up, is Mark's Dynasty Fun dads? We have a DeAndre Swift signed jersey. When we hit 2K, we'll be giving it away to one of you subscribers here. We had the first ever Dynasty Dads Superflex rookie draft here. So, of course, I was second. I did not have my first round pick. I had 2 second round picks. We'll be discussing on who I ended up taking at 2-7 and 2-11. But we're going to go through not all. We're going to go through a couple of the rounds here. The first round here, right off the bat, we're going to start at 101. It was Breece Hall. And that's going to be the majority of cases. I would say 95% of the cases, you'll see Breece Hall go 101. I think that's a great decision. So good job, Skull Canada, who had that pick. Great pick. So 101, Breece Hall. 102, Drake London. Again, I don't have a problem with this pick. I think this is going to be a very, very popular pick at 102 and has been a very popular pick at 102. In my opinion, I'm probably taking Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, but Drake London at 102, not a big issue here. 103, Kenneth Walker. Again, the second best running back and a by far drop off after him. So I am okay with 103 being Kenneth Walker as well. And then we start getting into an issue where 104 is Kenny Pickett. I think this is a huge reach for Kenny Pickett. I think the upside of Kenny Pickett is you're looking at like Kirk Cousins, you're looking at like a Derek Carr, you're looking at a guy that could be a QB2, but there is big questions to even see if he is the actual starter, if he's better than Mitch Trubisky, who was a top pick in his draft class. I think he was 102 with the Bears. So Kenny Pickett being 104, I understand that this is Superflex, so quarterbacks are going to be highly valuable here, but I'm trying to, let's see. The second quarterback taken off the board was at least a round later. So you look at the difference between Kenny Pickett talent-wise versus the other quarterbacks, I don't think there's a huge gap between Kenny Pickett and the rest of the quarterbacks, and so you're really having to reach at 104. I would have rather had him trade back into that later into the first round pick, but 104, Kenny Pickett, a bigger reach in my opinion. I don't have him as a top 6 prospect, top 7 prospect. I would easily rather have one of the Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, one of these wide receivers. I would even rather have the upside of like a Jameson Williams over drafting 104. 105, Chris Olave. Again, Chris Olave has been a very, very popular pick among other dynasty analysts. Not necessarily in my case. Again, like I said, Jameson Williams, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, those 3 I'm rather having over Chris Olave. Chris Olave is the wide receiver 2 on New Orleans. I mean, you have Michael Thomas. Let's just say he is the wide receiver 1 for New Orleans. You have to understand what Chris Olave does well. He's a very, very good route runner. He does not produce after the catch. So his upside is going to be incredibly limited. I mean, think even more limited than your DJ Moores, than your Terry McLaurin's, because those guys can actually run after catch. Chris Olave is very, very limited on his upside. So 105, I think that's a reach here for Chris Olave. And I've seen other analysts say that 105 is a good pick for him, but I think, again, a reach. 106, you get Treylon Burks, and I think this is 106 and 107. You can just say Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson. I think this is a really good spot for these wide receivers to drop to. I'm trying to remember what picks I had. I think I had 109 and 111 in trade for Devontae Adams, but I think that those 2 types of players, I mean, you're getting at 106 and 107, at 107, Garrett Wilson, you're getting potentially the best, safest floor, best receiver, overall receiver. At 107 is a good spot, considering that there's very few good quarterbacks and tight ends in this draft class, and even few running backs in this draft class. So 107 is a great spot here. 108, this is where you're going to see the Sky Moore, Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, George Pickens area. And so the first one off the board is Sky Moore. I would personally rather have Christian Watson over Sky Moore, which I think that might be might not be crazy. I can see why. Aaron Rodgers is a little bit is getting closer to the end of his career, and so if he leaves, that Green Bay pass receiving core could end up being a mess. But I believe Christian Watson has the ability, the talent of being an elite, could be a wide receiver. I mean, he could even be wide receiver 1 overall. I mean, when you're 6'4", 210 pounds, runs like Megatron, like there's very few of those types of players. Even Chase Claypool had that type of RAS score and stuff like that. So Sky Moore, though, at 108. And then Jameson Williams at 109. Again, I think Jameson Williams is a good pick here. High upside pick for a contending team, usually at 109. So Jameson Williams, I really like that. The team that took him actually was a team that was one of our worst teams of the year, but that's all right. I mean, he had this pick. He had the following 2 picks as well. So Jameson Williams, which I discussed that he took Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams, 2 awesome wide receivers, but then he went 2 running backs here. And so James Cook went 110, which is fine. I think that's an okay spot here to be. It's probably, I mean, with one of the 4 picks, you're going to have to take a running back. And James Cook is the running back that I want. And then 111, he did kind of go on a flyer, Dameon Pierce. I think that's early for Dameon Pierce. Honestly, I don't think he's a first-round running back. He's a round 4 running back in the NFL. We all know how successful those running backs are. I had people breathing down my neck last year about Michael Carter. Like, why in the world do you have Michael Carter so low? He dropped so much in your rankings after he went into the 4th round. Look at Devontae Freeman. Look at these other running backs in the 4th round. And now Breece Hall's there, and everyone forgets about that. It's the same thing can happen with Dameon Pierce. He might have a low-end RB2 season, which could be great, but then all of a sudden Houston drafts a running back. They draft Bijan Robinson, and all of a sudden we all forget about it. Or they draft Jahmyr Gibbs, or they draft somebody else. There's plenty of other running backs in this 2023 class. I think Houston's the most favored place. Maybe I would say even ahead of even like Atlanta. I would say they're the most favored place to probably draft a running back in the 2023 class. 112, I love this spot. George Pickens, that's a good pick. In my opinion, I like the George Pickens move here. I would still want Christian Watson. Actually, they're tomato. It's like I think Christian Watson has a better now opportunity with Green Bay, but I think George Pickens is a great wide receiver that, I mean, coming out of Georgia, recovering out of the ACL injury, could be again, both of these guys could be wide receiver 1 overall of this class. And to get him at the end of the first here, and then you'll see where Christian Watson goes here very soon. 2-1, Rachaad White. I like Rachaad White, but I don't like him here. I mean, you're having him ahead of Christian Watson, ahead of Jahan Dotson, which there was a couple times where I was trying to figure out how to get into that early mid-second. I just couldn't figure out how. It's like every time I wanted to get to a certain pick, that pick was being made, and then boom, Jahan Dotson ended up going. But we'll talk about where he went. But Christian Watson, 202, and then Spiller and White. So Christian Watson, a steal at 202, by the way. The Wood makes up for it. I know that he drafted Kenny Pickett at 104, and so you get Christian Watson at 202. Excellent value there. 203, you have Isaiah Spiller, 204, Samir White. This is where you're going to see these guys, but I would, they're fine picks if Jahan Dotson's off the board. Jahan Dotson's off the board, you got to draft Jahan Dotson. He's a round 1 wide receiver for Washington, and a very talented wide receiver, and you're drafting Isaiah Spiller and Zamir White, 4th round and later running backs that could be, maybe, are potentially something down the road. You're hoping for Josh Jacobs to fizzle out or not to come back next year, and then the Raiders not to draft a better running back. And you're hoping for the Eckler side, that you're hoping Eckler gets hurt, or you're hoping that the Chargers are going to utilize Isaiah Spiller, and there's no guarantees on that either. So we have Jahan Dotson, a steal at 205 here. I love Jahan Dotson at 205. I think it was a big drop here, and man, I'm jealous. I'm a little jealous because I had 207, and I'll tell you who I drafted here in a second. 206, I thought they were going to take my guy. 206, Tyler Algier. He's fine. He's fine. He's probably the pick that I was going to pick. It was between him and David Bell if my guy was gone. And so he got taken, and I was like, that's fine. It's in that realm of Zamir White, Isaiah Spiller, Bijan Robinson. Like, they're fine running backs. Again, they're flyers. You're in the 2nd round, then a weak class. It's like you're just going to have to throw some darts at the dartboard. The next player that was 207, my guy, and I've rooted for him again. It's lovely when I get my guy, because this is the guy that I talked about early, and then he was way overdrafted, and now he's way being underdrafted. It's Malik Willis. I understand he's a 3rd round quarterback, but again, the guy, if he's on the field at all, you're looking at an immediate fantasy starter because of his rushing upside. Tyler Huntley. Think of even that. Like, if he's on the field, he is going to produce at the fantasy level. It may not look pretty. Even look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, again, 2nd round pick. Malik Willis, 3rd round pick. Like, there is no guarantee that Tannehill is going to be there for the long term. And if Malik Willis figures it out, I mean, he may never play. He may end up never being a good quarterback. But if he is on the field, you're looking at somebody that has the potential of being a quarterback 1, just because of his rushing upside. And I am taking that at 207. And I would have taken that earlier, but I would have taken an early 2nd. I mean, I would have taken him ahead of Spiller, ahead of White, ahead of Algier. I mean, I would have been taking him right around that Jahan Dotson area of like, ooh, do I take Willis? Do I take Willis, or do I take Jahan Dotson? And in Superflex, you got to take Malik Willis here. 208, Delaney Woods. I think a little bit early, but I mean, I would have him I would have him as my second tight end, probably behind McBride. But I mean, again, so you have David Bell, Tolbert, and those two wide receivers. I mean, I like those both wide receivers. Again, they're earlier drafted. They're within that first 3-round gap, so I like that. But there was a wide receiver that I wanted to fall to me, potentially even ahead of those two guys, and it was Alec Pierce. Indianapolis wide receiver. Again, they have Michael Pittman. They have they don't have much else, and I think Pierce is going to actually be a successful wide receiver at the next level. So I really was ecstatic that I got Malik Willis and Alec Pierce out of 207 and 211, and then we have Mr. John Michi. I keep saying it wrong, but 212 going to the Houston Fun Fair over there. We're going to go through some quick rounds. Trey McBride, 301. Nice pick there as being my tight end 1. Wan'Dale Robinson, 302. Could be a flyer, but Bijan Robinson, Ritter, Corral, again, good third-round flyers. They're both third-round quarterbacks. We'll take it there. Tyron Davis Price, 306. I like that because, again, third-round running back. You're looking at that. Greg Dulcich, 307. It's okay. I would probably prefer not. Velus Jones, get out of here with Velus Jones. I don't want him. I'd rather have Romeo Doubs even next. Justin Ross, again, undrafted free agent, goes to Kansas City. Lots of hype. Probably a 4th-round pick, now a 3rd-round pick. Tyron Thornton, same thing. He's just pure speed, but I guess he's got the draft capital to go behind it, so maybe he ends up being Robbie Anderson, maybe he doesn't. Keontae Ingram, 312. Again, there's not much in the backfield behind James Conner, so you have to look at him being, again, another flyer. And then you get into some picks. 403, Tyler Beatty. I love that type of pick. And Shakir at 404. Again, Buffalo. These are some players that I'd rather have over Velus Jones and stuff. Or even Greg Dulcich. I would rather have that. Pure strong New England running back. They're messes in New England. So Snoop Connor, I think, is actually a good 4th-round pick because James Robinson hurt currently. And Travis Etienne, no guarantee that he could actually stay on the field. So Snoop Connor may, again, kind of the same thing with Tyler Beatty, is they have 2 running backs ahead of them, and they're both recovering from injuries. And if those injuries end up becoming longer-term issues, you might have a couple of successful weeks out of a 4th-round pick, which is exactly what you want, and then you try to trade him to whoever needs that handcuff. Calvin Austin, Pittsburgh wide receiver. They seem to always do good with Pittsburgh wide receivers. And so I like that as a 4th-round pick. See if there's anything else. Bunch of tight ends at the end. It's kind of how it goes usually. So again, this is Marcus with Dynasty Dads. I hope you enjoyed our first ever Dynasty rookie mock draft, or not mock draft, that was actual draft, actual draft. And let us know what you thought of the draft. Again, this is our first ever. So, boom. We'll see you again tomorrow.